弱くたって立ち向かうんだ理由なら君にもなったわかってるだから行く
We're almost free! Hello and welcome to the Nen Show Podcast. This is your host, Craftsdwarf, having problems apparently. This is my co-host Mathwiz. Say hello, Mathwiz.
Well, then that makes two of us. Because we're reading Gintama, and that's my problem.
Oh no! Okay, so comments. There weren't a lot.
Oh, that's a problem. I totally forgot to look up comments.
I didn't remind you, and this is why I remind you every single time. We've been doing this for 3 years, Mathwiz. 3 years! I mean, most of them were just kind of talking about how, like, you know, the anime is good, and maybe we should have been watching the anime instead, which is, like, we don't watch it's a manga podcast. Like, no. Especially, like, in Gintama's case specifically, like, I already dropped the anime. Like, I don't know if people remember that. I watched, like, 39 episodes and dropped it. Like, that's not an insignificant portion of Gintama. Like, and I remember one of the last episodes I watched, it was, like, Gintoki, chasing, and Hatori trying to get a Jump magazine, and I was just bored for, like, 20 minutes. And I'm, like, thinking about it, and it's like, do I want to watch the anime and be bored for multiple 20-minute increments when I could just read the manga and be bored for, like, sometimes 10 minutes and then enjoy other, like get to another chapter that I might enjoy more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and yeah, they add stuff that's good. The voice acting is good. But, like, if it's not funny, then that's, like, there's a huge part of Gintama's appeal just gone, right?
Yeah.
And I do like some of the humor. Like, this reading, I would say, like, as far as, like, interesting stuff to say, I don't have that much, but I enjoyed a fair amount of it. There was funny stuff I thought was amusing. Like, it was fun. And that's, that was good. But, I just wanted to throw that out there, because it's, like, I don't think we'd enjoy the anime much more. I'm not saying we wouldn't enjoy it more, like, that's not a problem. Well, it's also funny because you get, like, oh, it's a perfect adaptation, just skip these episodes, they're filler, they don't count. Watch it out of order because it was adapted out of order. And yeah, the ending's not out yet, which is, of course, that's not a problem with the adaptation, but apparently the last arc still skips stuff or cuts stuff out, which I've heard. So it's like, gotcha, perfect adaptation, all right. Good to know. I didn't have any real specific ones to mention though, so I guess you didn't miss out. But, sorry, commenters. All right, let's get to, like, the best part of the reading early, and then we'll do the rest of the reading. Not that I already expect to know what at least one of the more interesting arcs this reading was, but that's not where we start. So the first chapter is about clothing. They go shopping, and there's a whole store that sells clothes that exclusively looks like Gintoki's normal outfit, and like, which I did think was kind of funny because he's like trying to change his image, and he's like, no, this one it's too adventurous. I need something that looks like a little bit more like my older image, but it just looks identical to his normal image. Like, that was funny.
I did think the joke of yeah, like, it's just the whole store is all specifically designed to, like, his outfit and just, like, different variations of that outfit. It was good.
And even if it was temporarily, it was nice to see the characters in different outfits. Like Kagura, she has, like, a coat and her hair buns are gone and she looks good and cute. And it doesn't last because she puts on a hat and grows horns, and then it's like, what the fuck's going on? Because, like, especially think of it with Bleach and how it's such a shame because you get all these cover pages and cover spreads where the characters just looking really cool in all these different outfits, but the series itself is like Shinigami outcoats and the same clothes because it's been the same day for the last 200 chapters, and it's like, well, fuck. Like, Kubo needs to do something in a school or an environment where, like, the characters can wear different outfits. I just said school and have uniforms, so not the best example, but I don't know. So I don't know. It was nice to see characters in different outfits.
We need a Cardcaptor Sakura, but with Kubo as the designer.
Yes. Speaking of Gintama procrastination, which we weren't, Mathwiz, you decided to watch every Magical Girl show at once.
Pretty much.
So just in case, yeah, she.
I was gonna make a joke at some point that like, oh, this year I'm only going to be watching, 10 out of 10 stuff. We just got to finish Gintama, and then from there on out, only.
Uh-oh. I mean, it's a 10 out of 10 to a lot of people, just not.
See, I feel
either
like
of us. But we're going.
But like how I end up feeling about Gintama at the end is gonna be so weird because like I think it's still like I don't know when I'll score it, it'll probably be like above average in some capacity, but I feel like most of what I've had to say about it has been like not very good, and so it's like why.
Well, yeah, no, I see where you're coming from.
It's just one of those. Yeah, so it's like even when it's interesting, I guess it's just like not interesting in the way that like gels with me in the best way.
I think it's definitely like it's like especially when it comes to humor, where it's like very much like if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. So and this is definitely like thinking about it, it's like this isn't really even before, like if I'd read Gintama and was thinking about you having in a hypothetical scenario where you hadn't read Gintama, I would be like, I don't know about this one. I don't think so, but anyway, after that was the murder with Momotaro, and
I will say I did also like how the that outfit chapter ended where everybody goes back, because it again does the jokey bit of like undercutting the emotional punchline, but it's like Shinpachi just wants to look cool. He wants to like not be in the same outfit. He wants to not be the straight man. He wants to do something else. And it's just like, no, you can't do that. Bad.
I have a feeling you don't want to talk about the chapter after that then, because you changed the subject back. No, I'm kidding.
Oh no, that's just I don't know. Sometimes like I'm like,
fine.
Is Craftsdwarf gonna have any other thoughts on this chapter? And then you jump on to the next one. I'm like, oh
yeah, yeah. I'm jumping on to the next one. I mean, this one was kind of goofy. And like there was the whole another like undercutting thing where it's like they came up with like a reasonable deduction, but it's like no, he was just one of the Oni. He won. The bad guy won, and then like okay. But there was some. I think I generally found it funny enough, or reading it. Oh yeah, actually going back, I was bothered. So now I'm going back to the last chapter because I looked at my notes and I realized something that bothered me is because they talk about Lupin the Third, and they're like, oh yeah, Lupin he went from green jacket or from blue jacket to red jacket, and I was like, no motherfuckers, translating ass. Bitch, like, because they did the Viz thing where it's like, Rock Lee, the blue beast. No, it's green. It's translated to green because Blue Jacket Lupin happened like around the same time this was going, if not after. Like it's the most recent one, and Green Jacket was the first. And I'm just like, how do you not know Lupin the Third? He's got a green jacket on. How do you not know that? Sorry, I was just remembered that and it bothered me. Anyway, going to the next chapter was the new Four Devas. That one was kind of, I don't know, it was neat because like we had the old Four Devas and now we have like their successors, and you got Otai. She's one of the Four Devas now. You guys can't see it, but behind the screen, Mathwiz is in deep pain, which is why she's not saying anything. Because her soul is leaving her body as she's like, we still have 4 more fucking readings of Gintama.
I mean, yeah, like we are just kind of at the point. Like I knew going into this podcast that there just wasn't going to be much for me to say. I don't know. I don't have any energy left. I'm just.
I mean, like I said, this is like our longest one since Naruto, which was the second or the first, or no, since One Piece, which was the third one we did. So. Our longest one we're going to finish since Naruto is what I should have said.
We even took like the extra week to like build up, to take some time off going into this reading. And so like, I didn't feel like burnt out reading it like I did the last podcast, but it's, I don't know what more I can really say at this point.
Yeah, no, it's like,
at least as far as like unique things, like I can look at, like, oh, I liked what they did in this chapter, but like, as far as like structure and delivery and like messages, I don't know.
Yeah, and well, like, because I wouldn't say Gintama was like spinning its wheels, because like I do respect, like, every chapter is different, right? Like, even though it's still Gintama, like they're doing something they're introducing a new idea, or some having characters interact who hadn't quite interacted before, right? Like Otai was in the Four Devas arc, but here she is now interacting with the Scar guy, 3-7, who I can't remember his name, right? And that's and on a subject of the new Four Devas, which is in itself it's neat. But yeah, if you don't right, yeah. Anyway, after that we get to the best arc of the reading. And if you don't have anything to say, I will be Mathwiz, who are you? Where did you put the real Mathwiz? So the gender swap arc, which I mentioned, I knew about, and I used it as a way. Mentioned this to you earlier because weeks ago, because it was just the idea of it was interesting. And of course it's centered around Kyubey. So what did you think about the gender swap arc?
It happened.
No.
I won't say that I disliked it, but it was kind of what I expected it to be.
Okay.
It had some cool points in it. The overall message is something I can stand by. Yeah. But and there are good jokes in there too. But overall, it's just kind of I don't know. It's Gintama, so it's not going to, it's not really much for me to really say oh, this is the best thing ever. I didn't really get that kind of. I don't know.
Okay, well, just to say a couple things myself. One, I hate that Gintoki as a girl is actually really cute, and I'm God damn it, no, because it's still Gintoki, and he makes that very clear, because he's a pervy asshole, and he makes it known. But also I'm okay, shit, I like the design though. And there's other moments I like, seeing Kyubey with Otai, and kind of oh, what, they're all blushing and they're stupid and it's cute.
See,
sorry,
I mean, there are all.
Yeah. Or
go on. No, sorry, now I'm cutting you off.
No, I was just gonna say I laughed because I remembered Kondo as a girl, and it's God damn it. But go on.
I mean, yeah, I did like the joke also that Shinpachi's gender swap was that the glasses grips turned pink. And it's oh no, how could they? And it's it's a Gintama joke. But there were also just there are almost certain bits in here where I feel I don't want to say it goes against the message that or the way it concludes, but just with how Gintama tends to set up its conflicts in this way. Kyubey turns into a man, and then all of a sudden Otai is she's what's the word I'm looking for? She's blushing, and she's but it's still it's still Kyubey, but she's it's suddenly different. And I don't know. It's just I'm not sure where exactly I'm going with that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't think too much on that, but or I didn't think of it that way, rather, is what I should say. But
I think also the whole setup with it, I think, doesn't click with me as much as it clicks with me about as much as I expected it to for Gintama, but not as much as I'd hoped. Because a lot of the conclusion of Kyubey's sort of, I don't even know if this necessarily is a conclusion, because it does end on the note of being neither man or woman, and so it's how the talk of gender roles, and how we're all just kind of stumbling through life and all trying to find our own ways to fit within the society. I don't know. But there's also the fact that everybody gets gender swapped, and so part of a lot of the time Kyubey is kind of focusing on oh, this is what I wanted. It was a world designed for me. But part of that is that it's not just Kyubey swapped genders. It was everybody did. So Kyubey had that guilt of oh, clearly everybody else is doing this for me, but everybody else is suffering for me. And it's I don't know. It's not the same as if, I get what it's going for, and I don't dislike what it does, but there's a
Well, yeah,
degree
I
to
get-
which
I think I see where you're going with it. Like, I guess the question is, like, if it was only Kyubey who swapped, right? Where it's like, where no one else
and I mean,
has
like,
to
I
sort
get
of,
that
like,
that doesn't work with the premise of it being a gender swap arc.
yeah, and of course the end message with, like, because they're all like, and because we even did sort of talk about how, like, yeah, how many times how times has Gintoki or Katsura, like, swapped and played around with how their expression, even if it is for gags and stuff, or like but they a lot of, like, that kind of stuff has been common, so, like, I guess this is by having everyone change, it sort of does go at that idea of, like, like you said, they're all struggling in their own ways to be themselves in the first place. Gender's just a part of it, I guess. But that I did also think about the question where it's like, okay, well, what if Kyubey was the only one who changed? And right, because, like, Kyubey's expression doesn't affect anyone's, which I guess maybe that's where you're where it is,
Yeah.
because that's the arc wasn't built that way, but, like, just speaking in a literal sense, like, Kyubey's how Kyubey decides to express himself, or shouldn't matter to anyone else, but how the arc is framed is, like, Kyubey's desire for expression does affect everyone else, and which is kind of
And I mean, like, there are things I do like, I think it's more just, like, conceptually I like things about this arc, because, like, I get the idea that, like, Kyubey has the opportunity to see things from the other perspective, to live as a man and kind of see how that, and like, what Kyubey learns from that is that that's not really what they're looking for. Like, even if they even if they live as a man, that's still, like, not fully what because again, the conclusion is, like, neither one works. So so I do like it from that perspective, how, like, it's a chance to see the other side, and realizing that it's not really what I actually wanted in this case.
okay.
But I don't know. I'm not having a fun time.
No, and this one,
Like, I think this is, like, the most with an episode of this podcast where I just, like, am really struggling to have anything to say about anything.
Oh, no. I mean, like, I made the joke before, but it's like, oh, look, gender. We're about to have a 20-minute conversation, and then, like, here it is, the gender swap arc. But nope, it's not here. I mean, this is still the longest we've talked about any part, and probably will be the longest we talk about any one part of the reading. But still,
I mean, because there are also things that I thought were cool about, like, how they did it, like how like, when the girls become the guys, they're, like, better men than the men were. Like, they're more competent at, like, taking out the
I actually
the
did think about that, because that was interesting, where it's like, I guess how I sort of saw it is that, women just naturally have to deal with more shit than guys, since society is generally stilted against them. So, like, because they're more used to dealing with shit, they're stronger. So now as men, they don't have to deal with the shit, so that's kind of how I saw it, where, like, the guys, they haven't had to deal with that kind of shit. So as women, they just kind of are leaving, like, they're weaker than the girls almost. So I just thought that was a bit interesting way to handle that, because that was when Tsukio and Sachan came in. So that was just the thought I had.
I think maybe also where I kind of just have, or I just get kind of this feeling of from this arc, as opposed to, like, other stories that I've read, which are, granted, they're more, like, focused on LGBT themes, and there are, like, plenty of characters involved where, gender or sexuality is a factor.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas,
so
like,
more
with this series, it's
yeah.
kind of like we just get Kyubey. Like, we see what everybody else, like, nobody else besides Kyubey really has had this same kind of, ongoing conflict of, like, struggling with identity.
Like
I guess
Saigo had, like, one arc early, or one, like, short arc early on that kind of brought it up, but after that, like, it's kind of been a background thing, right? Like, they don't show up in this arc, for example. What would it, like, how would that work, right? Like, that would be interesting to see. Like, would they change? Like, because of, how the Okama are framed in Gintama, it's like they want to be both, or they want to be able to swap between, right, and be able to have both masculine and feminine sides. So, like, if they had their sex swapped, like, in this arc, like, how would that change how their expression, right? Like, but we don't see them because they're not as important as Kyubey and that wasn't explored in the arc, right? But so I get what you mean, where you say like, yeah, we only really get one major perspective. So.
And I think, I mean, like you do, like I guess there's a degree to which like, you know, like Tsukuyo has had issues with, you know, like expressing her femininity, and so like in this case, I guess maybe there's like something more that you could look into with, you know, the fact that I don't know.
Yeah, she does kind of get lumped with like Sachan, even you know. I guess she just that's true.
So I guess that was kind of like another potential character who has had something going
That's
up to
true.
this point, but it's still not. It's not the same as Kyubey. And I think like also with the way that it ends, like it ends on the note that, you know, like I'm not a man or a woman, I'm Kyubey, but then like there's no follow-up chapter to it. Like, I mean, not that there needed to be, right? But I would have liked there to be, you know, even just kind of like the epilogue chapter where there's like something more to like reinforce. Because it feels like when Kyubey shows up in later stuff, I mean, and granted, I don't think that's a bad thing either, that when Kyubey shows up, it's as if kind of nothing changed, because really nothing needed to change. That was kind of the point. But yeah, it's just kind of like a lot of little things where it's like not clicking with me fully. And again, so this is where I say like, just because Gintama's not doing the thing in the way that I would find interesting doesn't mean that I'm like writing it off. It's just like, you know, I would rather just go and read another story, I think. And, you know, and like there are other places I can look for that. So it's more, so like rather than me looking at this story and being like, oh man, I really wish it did this, and I dislike that it did it this way. It's just like, you know, it did what it did, and that it was fine for that. But yeah, you know, there are other places I can look.
Yeah, and well, especially when it's like we've been looking forward to this one because I knew about it, and I teased you with it because I knew it would be to your interests, but then it was fine.
And you know, like it also, I don't think it was one of those things where like I had my expectations up super high,
well, especially
because
not with Gintama at this point.
Well, yeah,
right?
like even getting to this point and seeing how Kyubey's character had been explored, I kind of had an idea of what this was going to, like where this was going to go. Like, oh, was Kyubey really just going to become a man and that's the end of it? No, like it's Gintama. I didn't expect it to make that kind of change. But again, not that it had to do that. I liked what it did with it ending kind of as neither, but
right, you liked it, you just didn't love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's completely fair.
And I will say then, you know, like I even messaged you about it on Discord that page turn to like the next chapter is the mangaka prisoner. My interest never dropped so fast in a single page turn.
What, you don't like them drawing panties and well, I did like the gag where Gintoki like fucked up the inking and he like redrew it like horribly because he can't draw. But yeah, it was a chapter that I don't have that much to say about. So after that was shit, I can't remember his name. Seita, thank you. I just read it myself. Yeah, where he lunches and he's got like they kind of go back to the Yoshiwara thing where, you know, he's moms and you know, because like he in Yoshiwara he has his mother figure, but you know, he's also like it's different from other moms, so he's dissatisfied. And like the fucking part where Tsukio cooks food for him and he's like, there's a present inside, and he eats a fucking kunai knife and is bleeding, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. She just deep fried a fucking kunai knife. God. Also, another thing I want to say is because the Balala crocodile, that looks like it was straight out, like it looks like just different enough. Like I'm pretty sure it was drawn by like Sorachi and assistants, but it does look a lot like the Toriko monster. It's it might just straight, I don't know, is it a straight ripoff or is it a parody? Like I don't like, did he just copy paste? Like I don't. I was just like, because it's a Toriko reference and I recognized it immediately, but I was just like, oh wow, that looks like straight out of Toriko. Because like, and I think I talked about this last time with the manga stuff in particular, is that like it is kind of cool to see like the different styles in Gintama, and like I'm like, who the fuck draws this? Because this is neat. But yeah, it was good. The chapter's cute, wholesome. You know, he's he may not have a blood mom, but he's got a bunch of moms, and some of them are stupid. Is part of the problem, but it's fine.
Yeah, it was a fun little chapter. I enjoyed it.
Anyway, after that was a Hasegawa one with Hitmen, where he like sort of plays like the middleman to this story of like there's the two hitmen are trying to kill each other, but actually one of them was a sister who was sold off, and there's like a guy, mafia guy at the top who's kind of manipulating them, and it's like, okay, and then Hasegawa saves him, and his wings, he grew his wings, and yeah, fine. Not as good as some of the other Hasegawa chapters, but it was fine, I thought.
I did think it was funny that once again, like, he's just trying to die. He's just trying to, but he gets roped into like helping people even in spite of that. Like, so it's again like reiterating that facet of his character that even though he is kind of like the bottom rung of society and he's always the butt of the joke, he's still he's still out there helping people even.
Yeah. Well,
in spite of that,
he knows what it's like to be at the lowest, right? And so here he is dealing with people who are, like, one of them is basically like, she was sold off like an object and became a hitman to fit into the world. Like, like he's been at that point or if not lower, so he's able to connect with them and help them, like, because he's a good guy. He's just really unlucky and maybe kind of stupid. But he helped and it was good and he didn't die. So, which is also good, but I guess technically not for him in a way. Not what he wanted. It's not what he wanted in that, but I don't know. Hopefully he'll get his due in a good way. Not it sounds ominous when I say it like that. Right. After that is the idol arc with Otsu, where Kagura becomes a partner idol, a duo. And then there's like an AKB parody who are like galactic aliens, and that happens. Or galactic idols is what I should have said. I'm sure you have a riveting amount of things to say about this one.
I mean, there were, again, like little jokes in it that I liked, like how there's the recurring thing with like the backing band or whatever their specific title was called. How like, even though they're in the background, they're always, be ready because they're always looking to like stab you in the back, and then like that joke pays off later when they are they have their competition and they're like, oh wow, you're in this line for
Ew,
what was it called?
Right, like they used their backup band to apparently like sabotage, but then they used the backup to the backup band.
Yes.
Right, no, that was pretty good. And the resolution was good where they kind of like, because I was worried for a second when they like revealed the antagonist idols as like shape-shifting monsters, and I just had this thought because I'm like, oh, is this a bite against idols being fake? But then they kind of like, no, it's more like they're trying hard to maintain this image, like that's part of their struggle and dealing with these scandals. Like, they're like, even though there's a fakeness to them, there's a genuine heart underneath, and like Gintama, like it does kind of like point that out and bring it up and value that, and I'm like, that's good, because idols, especially in Western communities, kind of get a lot of shit by taking things out of context, like taking small like things that definitely happen, but blowing them up and acting as if they're like universal and constant, which is like, it can be a rough industry, but it's not that bad. Like I've heard, like, as I have heard alternate takes that no, it is kind of blown out of proportion. So it's nice to see, it is like Gintama is able to be genuine like that, and I like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you have more to say about the idol arc, or?
No, I don't think so. I think you pretty much got the good stuff.
I always take it from you. Like I was just thinking the other day, I think once Rumiko Takahashi came out and you were like about to say something about like Urusei Yatsura and Remanap, and I just like interrupted and said them before you did, and I just like completely stole your thunder, and I'm like, wait, shit.
I think more often than not though, it's not that you're taking it from me, and it's that I wouldn't have had anything to say anyway, and like you cover the things I wouldn't have said, and so it's like, yeah, you got it.
Okay, I gotcha. I just remember that one as like where you like open your mouth about to say it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this thing that you're about to say, and I did it like twice in a row, and I just remembered that recently. And anyway, next one had some funny parts. It was the lottery one where Hijikata won the lottery, and he's like, shit, I have a shitload of money in my pocket right now, what the fuck do I do? well, one of the early jokes I liked is when he's like, I need to go to the store, and I'm out of smokes, and to get rid of the smokes, clearly he like stuffs all of them in his mouth at once and smokes them in the mud like at the same time. That one I liked. And after that, yeah, there were some other gags I liked, like just the whole like how the situation kind of like there were thieves and Gintoki knows about it, and they're like pulling each other down and being assholes.
And more Fist of the North Star references.
And one thing I like, Gintama's done this enough where I definitely I guess I'm thinking of later stuff. Never mind, I'll save it then. Because this wasn't an example of what I was just about to say. Never mind.
I do also like how they're Gintoki and Hijikata, they're doing their bit about how like they hate each other, and so Gintoki is like, no, you take Hijikata as the hostage and let all these people go, because then but he's got the ticket with him, and then Hijikata's like, no, he has the 300 million, and then they're both captured. It's like, why did you? But of course, it all ends up working out in the end. Like, oh, you were simply stopping them from taking the 300 million. Good work, guys.
But then they need to, then of course they need to pay it back, and hey, let's go buy some lottery tickets. So one thing I just realized, not about Gintama specifically, or kind of, I guess, but it's like more about the Nen Show and sort of like why is it so difficult for us to discuss it at this point? Like, not that we're saying having bad discussions per se, but like I can definitely see like how different is this from the last discussion? And like what I just realized is kind of like yeah, Gintama is really like, it does have a lot of variety, I guess, but also it doesn't. In a sense, because like what's happening is different every time, but then like, yeah, what do we have to say aside from like, oh, this was funny, or oh, I noticed this thing that I thought was neat. And like with like arcs and stuff, they usually like, because that's the thing, is there aren't long arcs like in everything else we've discussed so far, right? Where we could discuss like this like ongoing conflict that was built up across like dozens of chapters. Where this it's like very punctual and just kind of beat by beat by beat. So I guess it's a structure of Gintama that's making it harder for us to discuss. So we're like, because we've already discussed it generally so much that like, what else do we have to say?
You might not think it's a bad discussion, but I know that I'm not having a good discussion.
Oh, no.
I felt like for like not the majority of this Gintama podcast, but definitely for like, there have been a couple episodes where I feel like I'm not contributing anything, and I'm just like, what's even the point? Why am I here?
Oh no. I don't know. I'm glad you haven't abandoned me yet. So maybe I'm just glad you're here. But
I will say, like, if the Nen Show podcast can survive this, then nothing can take us out.
Yeah, if we can survive the 1-2 punch of Kinnikuman and Gintama, like, where else can we... Like, we already did Fairy Tail and Rave. Like, that was another 1-2 punch in itself. But
like, I mean, maybe it would be, like, funnier if I was the type of person who, would really go in on, like, oh, this thing is bad, and here's why. But that's just not...
No, yeah.
Because I know that, like... If I say something like that and really lean in on a misinterpretation or whatever, that somebody who has more of an appreciation of someone who has more of an appreciation of the series would like be like, no, you idiot, you're wrong, you stupid fuck, and then I'd be like, oh no.
I mean, like, I'm maybe not good in itself, because like I actually like part of the reason I have been leaning away from that is exactly for that reason, where it's like, what if that hedging of like, well, yeah, even if I had this reaction, like, what if I'm wrong? Like, what if I miss the point? And especially I remember that from the Naruto discussion, because we did that a few times, and where we really went out on something that seemed wrong, and then like someone in the comments was like, well, you're wrong, and I'm like, oh fuck. Like the Sasuke versus Deidara, or Naruto versus Kakuzu, and just like So no, I get where you're coming from, absolutely. Though, sometimes I also like, if you have something negative to say, like, I think it's fine to say, but because maybe that can be more discussion. But yeah, it depends. So I don't know. I get where you're coming from. So anyway, this was the the first of 2 arcs that have Sakamoto in it in this reading. What the fuck? Really breaking new ground here. Sorachi, like, there's a Sakamoto overdose, I think.
That's how you can tell we're getting closer to the end game, because Sakamoto's showing up and being relevant.
right? Like, oh yeah, there were some meta jokes, because they meant in the movie, I think, or one of the two movies, they did a joke about Sakamoto only appearing in the openings and endings, and they mentioned that same joke here in I think. And I also remembered earlier in the Otsu one where like they did a joke where Kagura is like trying to sing and they're just like this. It was a joke written for the anime, not the manga, where Gintoki's just like, okay, stop singing as Kagura and just sing as Kugimiya Rie, right? Like that joke makes no sense in the manga, but like now they don't have to like he wrote the anime's joke for them, and I just realized I just noticed more of the meta, not more meta, but like more anime meta, it felt like, and it was also advertising the movies, so
although I will say, now that we have seen some of the anime, I thought, actually it was when we watched the Fairy Tail movie that I thought about it, because there was a joke at some point that like, oh, Kagura is like, you're wasting this voice actress's talents, and it's like, hang on, that person also voiced Happy. So what do you mean Kagura is a worse role than Happy? I'm sorry?
Oh yeah, and by the way, that was so weird when watching that movie because like I haven't really seen the Fairy Tail anime. I watched that I watched the first movie like years ago, and then I rewatched it recently with Mathwiz. But this time I'd seen like 40 episodes and 2 movies of Gintama, so I was just like, that's just Kugimiya Rie, like that is, so it was weird, especially because we are reading Gintama right now. Like every time Happy spoke, I was like, it's just Kagura, like kind of. It's definitely different enough to be distinct, but it's also like clearly like. I hear Kagura there, so it was weird. But anyway, back to the arc with where they're meeting their old friend from the Joey Wars. There's like a reunion with Kuroko no Tasuke, which of course because Kuroko no Basuke was running in Jump at the time, I'm sure. And like they're all like remembering back. And one thing I thought was interesting about this, because Takasuki, I mentioned this before, he can't directly be in the jokes, right? Because he's supposed to be this antagonist with a lot of presence, but he can be in jokes indirectly or like in flashbacks. Yeah. Like he's still like getting involved in like the Pokari like weird jokes, but in a flashback. It's a younger Takasuki who hasn't become a bad guy yet, and so like that just really stuck out to me. And then of course there's they turned out to be fake letters, but like there's Yakult in the refrigerator, you can have the bottle that was going to go to me. Like he's just like, I'll pay for the Yakult at this party too. Like he's getting involved in their like who owes who money for drinks indirectly through letters. So you just see the really imposing panel of Takasuki with the letter, and it's and the letter is like written in really like firm letter. It's fun. I don't know. It's funny because it's Takasuki normally isn't in the jokes. But of course, it was a ruse. It was all a way to assassinate, get rid of Takasugi's enemies. But they get helped by the memory of Tasuke.
I guess I also did think it was interesting that Takasugi's minions, or whatever the term is, the people working under him, were like trying to kind of go against, because every time that somebody says something about coming into contact with like Gintoki or some of his old comrades, he's like, keep your hands off, like they're mine or something to that effect. And so like here you have the people working under him trying to sort of go against his wishes in like his best interest, like they want him to not be distracted. But so it was kind of interesting in that there's a little more. It's still like a joke kind of arc, but there's a bit of stakes to it because you get the backstory and you have some real antagonists making moves.
Yeah, and even like, because like, and not having Takasugi directly in it is also like, because like his minions can be comedic, right? Like, because they do have their jokes and stuff. Like the fucking guy comes in dressed as Takasugi, even though he's because he's pretending to be him in the first place. But it's like, so they're able to do something. Yeah, again, do something different. Where here you have Takasugi's minions acting without him, so that the arc can be more comedic. And yeah, I like how it like they forgot the Tasuke, but he supports them, and he's like a shadow. But it was fun. And again, like Sakamoto arc, and then later we got another Sakamoto arc. The two Sakamoto fans in the Gintama fandom were blessed by this stretch of chapters. And did you have any more to say, or?
I mean, like there was, I guess, like a cool little, like the shadows are always right next to you. Line was kind of, it carried some weight to it, and the fact that like it ends and they're like, oh, what happened? Gintoki, you were awake. What happened? And he's like, I forget. So it's like the presence of somebody who, I don't know, it was neat.
Yeah, and I guess the shadows idea kind of ties to like, well, because like they have their mentor, their teacher who is lost, but he's still like with them in a sense, right? Yeah. So it's kind of that sort of like dealing with loss aspect with Gintoki especially. But yeah, it was neat. Anyway, after that, I guess was the Two Love Ru parody manga where with finding a way to hide ecchi stuff in your room from your family, and I don't know. I'm sure you love this chapter. But I don't know. There are some good gags, and of course it just ends like anticlimactic. It's like, well, if you look at just the cover, it doesn't even look like erotic in the first place, and then. And you mostly get Gintoki kind of being like the big brother to Shinpachi. I just realized I almost like had to stumble over his name because I'm like, when was the last time I said it? I don't remember. 3 weeks ago. But yeah, so that was, I don't know, it's fine. Yeah, your favorite chapter so far? Got it. Thank you. Anyway, moving on.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
The whole manga should have been just a story based around that one chapter.
So the next one, I don't know. I like the punchline at the end where it's like Hasegawa, he finally found his calling, telling scary stories that are really just based on his like him being a sad adult, where it's like, oh, an endless vacation. I'm on an endless vacation, so it's no different from an endless hell. I added the middle part just to drive it home, but it's like. Yeah, like he's scaring children, and then it like turns into this like weird story that keeps parodying Kuramada's manga, the author of like Saint Seiya and Ring Nikakuro, and then it ends with like, "Hello, I'm from a copyright collection agency," and that's the I'm right by your house basically, and everyone freaks out, and it's like, what? And I don't know, it was goofy. I like the punchline especially, but.
Yeah, I feel like that one definitely works as, Gintama references a bunch of things. So, there's also like the meta level of like, like a copyright agency going after Gintama, and you have Gintoki picking up the phone and it's like, oh no, they finally got us. It only took 52 volumes.
Anyway, next was Kagura Gets Sick, which was, this is where what I want to say earlier about how like I started to pick up on just something Gintama will do, where it's like they'll do a comedy thing and there are characters who are like playing along with the joke, but they're like doing it to punish the person who's like lying basically. And this happened at least once or twice after this, I feel like, because like Kagura is like pretending to be sick, like she drinks all the soup and vomits, it looks like she's vomiting blood and everyone gets like super worried. But she was merely pretending, and then she like needs to have a funeral because she's dead. But it was Okita who knew, and he knew exactly what was going on because he's an asshole.
It's also kind of one of those the tried and true tales of character sets up a premise and then gets in over their head, and it's like, no, I have to say something, but it just keeps getting worse and worse because they wouldn't own up to doing the thing. And of course, I guess there's also kind of the meta, again, like aspect of it, because, Kagura is they call attention to Kagura's, the whole thing with the sunlight and how the, Amanto? No, that's a little too generic. The Yato, are supposed to not be, they're supposed to be, like, not good with sunlight, but, there had been previous instances where Kagura's just out in the sun, because the mangaka forgot or something. Right,
well, and it's like, it's addressing it, but also like, she's perfectly fine, right? Like she's, even though Yato don't work with sunlight, she can handle it enough, right? So I guess it's kind of like the Elizabeth arc from a couple readings ago, where it's like, where the fuck has Elizabeth been the last couple of years? Let's do an arc about it, right? So here, why the fuck can Kagura just be in the sunlight? Okay, well, let's do an arc about it. So yeah.
But then it also gets to the end, and so some characters weren't aware that Kagura wasn't actually dead, and so, or if they were, well, no, they weren't, because then
I think Okito was the only one who knew. So everyone else is just an asshole.
Yeah, because then, Gintoki and Shinpachi, everyone else finds out, and they're like, and then they're dead, and then they're on the conveyor belt, and yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess that little moment in particular is definitely kind of like a good snapshot moment of Gintama. Like, you have the three main characters just getting thrown to the wolves by the entire town.
Yeah. So after that was if you were done, I assume. But yeah, after that was the summer festival where Kondo puts on a mask and gets to go on a date with Otai. And it's actually kind of like nice, and then there's they put on like the kind of the fake summer festival, like there's a whole narrative with like Hasegawa as like a dad, and then Shinpachi and Kagura as the kids, and like they kind of recur throughout some of the games, and then but yeah, they did know it was Kondo the whole time, and this is where like I was starting to be like, okay, yeah, I feel like I've been seeing this a lot, because like we just ended the last one where Okita knows Kagura is alive the whole time, and then we have this summer festival date where they scam Kondo, and he's like, they don't know it's me, but no, they knew the whole time, right? So it's like kind of like seeing it twice in a row, and just like okay, I get what you do there. I've seen it before too. It's like I got it. So yeah, I don't know, just something I noticed. Anyway, after that was the another summer diary. They help Seto with his homework. And turns out Gintoki was like taking his pocket money because he's an asshole. So yeah,
and then he becomes the firework that they shoot off at the end of the chapter, and it's
they were dirty fireworks.
I like that little last panel because it almost has kind of like a little like children's. Well, I guess that's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's drawn in the same style
diary,
as
so
right,
and
it's drawn in the same style as the other ones. So it's cute to see it at the end of as the last panel, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, after that we get the serious arc of the reading, which is like I don't know, one of the weaker serious arcs in a while. Like it's fine, but like I don't know, because there's a Simon, and she's a Shinigami, and she wants to die.
I think part of my issue with this arc is just, I don't know if it's the translation specifically, or if that is literally how frequently they use the word head in this stretch. Because it's like, the head of the family, literally cutting a person's head off. So there's like a lot of things where like that is relevant, but it's just like over and over and over again. You'd see the word like 5, 6, 7 times on the same page, and I'm like, I'm going to,
that's definitely
I'm going insane.
Because it's like they're both accurate translations, but I'm sure the words are different in Japanese. So it's
and
just
sometimes
like a really
it's like the way it'll work into a sentence is kind of clunky, and it's just like
you have to cut off the head of the head. Yeah, okay. I see. I didn't really notice that, but I see what you mean. Like. Right, because like they're talking about the succession of the family, and so the head who gets to be the head, but also like they cut off heads, and whose head's getting cut off, and yep. But yeah, like the ideas are fine, like because you kind of have there was the previous executioner who spared Gintoki's life, and he wanted to make sure like that he treats the people he kills as human, right? Like he's keeping his own soul by like because if he kills criminals who are doing bad, but obviously Gintoki like he didn't see him as a criminal, right, or as someone who deserved to be executed, so he went against his duty to save him. Where Asaimon, she had to become a monster because she like saw the people she killed as human, and she couldn't kill them as a human, so she became a monster to try and to do it. But it was like she was staining the ground. She wasn't doing it respectfully. But yeah, it was neat. I think I have more to say, but my brain stopped. So
I don't know what the jokes about cutting off people's nipples has to do with the themes.
I think it's just I don't think maybe it does. I don't know.
It's not like one of those cases with like I want to go back to like the toilet paper sandpaper scene
Yeah,
when
that
when
would've
it
been-
was still like novel, and I was like blown away by like what type of storytelling was on display. Now
Yeah,
it's
because
just
we've
kind of
definitely
like
gotten that, but I haven't like picked up on a whole lot. Like I did mention some earlier with the whole chapter about them hiding the two love Rue in Shinpachi's room. Like that kind of goes into like the whole familiar aspect, but not in like a major
Yeah.
interesting way. That like the sandpaper thing. But so I get what you mean. And maybe if I think of something, because she just keeps cutting off Gintoki's nipple for no reason. And I guess like it's dirty, kind of dirty humor, but it's like like if it was his penis, that wouldn't be as that would be weird. It wouldn't work as well, I guess, because like the nipple, it's like smaller.
but
I
like
guess,
what?
so.
Why that specifically? Like,
Yeah,
does
that's a
that
great
factor
question.
in some regard?
Maybe,
YouTube comments. Somebody essay. Let me know. I keep making that joke, but we're getting like less comments, and it's less like. So it's like somebody save me, and nobody crickets.
Yeah. My server, I got like 3 people asking like, "Where's the Nen Show?" Because it was supposed to be uploaded today. On the day we're recording it, but it got delayed a week, so it's getting uploaded next week when you're listening to this right now. And I'm like, and so people are like, wait until you listen to it, but they don't want to leave us interesting comments on things we didn't notice. Very sad, but no, it's fine. I think I've accepted what the comment situation, like, and maybe things will get more interesting because again, we're done with the like comedy reading by and large. Like after this, I presume it's like we're gonna hit like the low point of the story and go into Act 3. And it's going to be like the rest of the story.
Yeah,
so
I accidentally, when I was like loading up one of the volumes, I opened up the wrong one. And I saw like a little bit of what's happening. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, because I know the name of the 2 arcs. Because in the title of the next, you can see it on the document, Mathwiz, so it's not really a spoiler, but it's like the arcs. I cut off 2 of the words because there's like blank assassination and farewell blank. And for the title of the episode, I'm not going to have the blanks. I'm just because it's just like assassination and farewell because the titles are spoilers. But I do know what those are, what they're referring to, and they're definitely like, oh shit. So, and we kind of get build up towards one of those 2 arcs, like I noticed, maybe both of them, I don't know. But towards the end of this, or maybe it was in this one because we get introduced to Nobunobu, who's another potential shogun, I think, and yeah. So, should be neat, but we're still on this reading.
I think I was also a little surprised, because like that was me probably like foreseeing into the future and like mispredicting the series. But like, who is the character? The other one of the Mimawara Gumi, the girl.
Yes.
Wasn't she also referred to as like not a Shinigami? Maybe I don't remember. Maybe I'm totally off base.
No, I think you might be thinking of like because I remember mentioning it because there was the manga chapter where they mentioned like Shinigami in the manga, and then right after that was the host club, and there was a lady, remember, who was going from club to club, and she was called a Shinigami because of
yeah.
Well, because I didn't even mention because this reading is called Shinigami, but last reading I was like, okay, there's like 2 chapters in a row where they're mentioning like Shinigami, and I'm like, but when's the Shinigami arc? And I was confused, and is any of this going to be relevant for that arc? And the answer was no, but I didn't know that at the time. So, but yeah, I guess like going back to like, and yeah, maybe the translation could have been worded differently at times to avoid it from becoming so repetitive, but like there was like, I'm looking at the moment where, Nobunobu cuts off the head of the guy who was, trying to become Shinigami, and he says, how about, like, oh, what should you be called now? How about just a head? As he cuts him off. Like, it's a pun. So maybe it is also a pun in Japanese, because we know, Sorachi has a lot of wordplay that we don't necessarily 100% get all the time because of, the translation. So I guess it was, maybe it was deliberate, is what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
And Takasugi fucking shows up with his fingers and all the pies. Piece of shit, I was gonna eat that. No, I don't know. What does that mean? Don't read into that. I just... but yeah, it ends off in a... See, it's like, well, the conflict ended, and I was like, oh, I guess it's over. But then it's like, oh no, Gintoki and they were arrested, and they're gonna get executed. And, she destroyed the mask, and there was no criminal... all the criminals have been judged, and it was, cool.
Yeah, because that was the moment, the thing of him, what was it? Like, it definitely did feel like there was, like, an emotional weight to kind of where this sort of ended. The whole thing of, like, her as a young girl, and she's like, oh, her as a young girl seeing, like, Gintoki as a prisoner, and was like, I'll be the one to execute you, so make sure you don't die. And so, but it's not like actual execution. It's more just like tying back into the thing of like, humans cutting away, what was it? Cutting away the sins from the souls or something like that.
Yeah, where it's like, because her whole thing was that she, her father was killed because he didn't conform, right? He was supposed to be an executioner, but he was also deciding to be a judge and decide who was worth being executed. So he was sort of like unworthy, and she kind of like became a monster, an oni to fit in, but now she was able to like cut that part away from herself. So, and retain the soul that she inherited, so to speak.
But there's also...
Yeah, she did the same thing that her dad did and didn't execute Gintoki, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, and I did also like how that ended, because I think this is where I was getting at it, where especially like the page of him like throwing the mask in the water and walking away, it did feel like I didn't get... I felt like I should have had like real like emotions there. Like I should have been like, oh, because it does tie into his past and how, she's the one like, like the father couldn't cut him down because like, like a demon can't take out another demon. The one to do the judging has to be like a human. And so like, Gintoki, his like, in that sense, like his past of like, the crimes he had committed, or like the, his inner demons had kind of been like cut away by her. I forget her name.
Shit, I just said it earlier. Like Azaimon or something like that. Like Sazaimon, Doraemon. I don't fucking remember.
but yeah. So there was like a, something tying into Gintoki's character there. But I remember just kind of like reading that and like finishing that up, and I was like, I feel like I should maybe even be crying here. Like it feels like there's something really poignant here, but it's just not. There's a barrier. I'm like, I can't get in.
The Gintama barrier, but I don't know. Though earlier you mentioned something about cutting away evil, and maybe that was the nipple, the evil nipple. Like the other one's a good nipple. That's why it wasn't cut. I don't know. Anyway, after that was the or were we done about with Shinigami? I didn't have more to say.
No, that I've done.
Yeah, you said more than the average, so you must be tired by now. Woo! Not kidding. Anyway, after that was the body swap arc, where Gintoki and Hijikata get body swapped, and I don't know, maybe I was expecting more because I liked the body swap premise, but I don't know, I didn't love this one, so I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it had the thing of like, the leader being a color and how like, dyeing the colors of so I did kind of like how their different lifestyles sort of bled into their respective groups, and how the Shinsengumi got a little bit more freedom, or like Hijikata was able to kind of learn a little bit more from Gintoki's lifestyle, and Gintoki was sort of able to pick up a little bit from Hijikata. But of course, like the joke at the end is like, oh, they're all just shit now. Like that's the color. Their colors did change, but for the worse, I don't know.
And then oh yeah, that's right. It got to where everyone else's souls were also swapping around, which had some good like Hasagawa in Sadaharu crying because he finally got a new job as a pet dog. Like, well, we're going up in the world. Like, damn. And or fucking Kondo and Shinpachi, like, I get to be with Otai now. It's like, but
well, and you also have cool little moments, like Tama. I almost forgot her name. But yeah, like Tama is able to tell that Gintoki is inside name Hijikata.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even though like on the outside it doesn't look like Gintoki, it looks like Hijikata, but she can tell because she's the best character in the series. She is the most wholesome, and no one this series doesn't deserve her. I'm kidding.
Tama is very good, yes.
But yeah, like there were good jokes with it. I made the joke as well, like, how does this connect thematically to... First we had the gender swap arc, and then the body swap arc. One Piece went and combined both of those.
You're right, it did. So anyway, then we get or if we're done with that one.
Yeah, I'm still scrolling through real quick. Oh, I did like the joke that some characters were like swapped into the glasses.
Yes.
That was neat. I think you had already mentioned that one.
Well,
but then
I
also
just said generally, but yeah, go on.
well, then also the joke that that kind of comes back in later because like the joke is that Hasegawa wasn't actually Sadaharu, he was just poop, and then they like him and Yamazaki like form a super creature somehow just by putting the sunglasses on the.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if.
Oh, and also the bit where Shinpachi's glasses get like thrown on Otai, and she's like, I can't take these off. It's like he's restraining her as a pair of glasses. It was funny.
Also about like Hasegawa and Yamazaki like merging into like some weird poop creature. The way that it just like looks with like a face on a thing with arms and leg, it just reminds me of like the kind of thing you'd see in Bobobo. And so I don't know if it's supposed to be a direct reference or if it's just happenstance. Probably it's with Gintama. I wouldn't be surprised by a direct reference, but it's just I just saw it and I was like, oh, that reminds me of Bobobo, which I've barely seen any of. And should maybe check out one of these days. But because I'm a little curious. But anyway, then we get the second Sakamoto arc, unless you have more, but probably not. I don't know.
Nah.
Okay. Where we get more like we kind of get more about like how Sakamoto got where he is. Like it's his backstory after the Joey War, where he goes to space and swindles his way to like he's able to sort of he turns slaves into pirates, kind of, or as a merchant, I guess.
I did really like this backstory, because you get like a little bit of Hasegawa. Jesus Christ,
I've mixed.
They're all the
two in
same
my head.
character.
So, yeah,
they both wear sunglasses. They're practically the same.
They have 4 syllables in the name. Sunglasses. They're basically the same character. Exactly.
But no, I did like you get to see like a little bit of seriousness out of Sakamoto, which was neat. And just in general, like I think the whole sort of message of like how he's like a merchant who doesn't actually like he's like he finds this excuse to like free the slaves is like I'm giving we're working together and doing this thing, and he treats this as kind of like a business, like an enterprise, but not really. It's kind of like everybody's just there because they want to be and the whole thing about like how even like just a tiny rock can have value. It can shine like a gem, like even a gem couldn't. There's just a lot of cool little things in there.
Yeah, it's nice. And you had more to say about it than me. Everybody clap. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I just realized I didn't have that much to say, and you said more, so that's nice.
Also, the thing with the guy, like his face constantly getting destroyed, it reminded me of Spandam.
Oh yeah,
because he's just kind of the character who's like there, and he's always getting, made fun of and what's the word? Defaced? I don't know.
That would be a literal word. So anyway, after that was the documentary on humans, where like you get another art style change. Like this is like the 4th one this reading, where it becomes a little more chibi, I suppose. Where the alien, he's well, I like how it ends where it's just like, oh, man, Gintama's only 1 page this week. Isn't that weird? Like, I don't know, it was fine.
Yeah, and I guess I'm still also looking at the previous thing.
Oh, sorry, I went ahead.
I'm not. I don't know. I keep getting lost on where we are. But like, there's the thing about how like she was like a space pirate princess, but she like willingly like relinquishes that status to sort of just be this. Like she steps down. She's like a vice captain in the thing, as opposed to like, the guy was like, you had the talent to be, the next the leader of your whatever exactly it was they were. I don't know. And you also do get the detail that like, she's a Yato. Oh,
right. Which that was I didn't see that one coming. But then again, I haven't seen this character since the first reading. I don't maybe.
I think there's also
parts, but like, go on.
I think like like when I first got to this arc, like I mistook her for the other girl who is Takasugi's.
Oh, the gun girl, right?
Yeah, the gun girl. I don't know. I mean, Sorachi has made comments in the manga itself about how like, oh, we can't strain the mangaka's drawing talents. We have to work within this limited ability. So like he's made fun of himself in that regard of like having. I wouldn't, I'm not going to say that, like, oh, he's a terrible mangaka, that all his characters have same face and blah, blah, blah,
Well, like, there's sometimes, like sometimes Kagura with her hair down kind of looks like Sachan without glasses sometimes, because they both have light hair, right? Like, just that kind of thing. Like, even if you, like, compared them side by side, you might be able to see differences, like, at first glance. Like, you're not focused on the small details, you're focused on the big ones, right? Like, Sachan's glasses or Kagura's hair bun.
And I think it also is just because there are so many characters. Like, oh, some of them are going to look a little similar. Like that's
right.
I don't think it matters how good you are at drawing. That's going to happen occasionally. But it's more just like, hey, you said it, not me. So like because the author said it, I'm able to see it more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I don't know.
And I like that, and that for me that happens very infrequently for as many characters as there are, right? So, but yeah, then this was one of those infrequent times for you. It sounds like. So yeah, but anyway, I'll wait for you to catch up.
Yeah, we're at the one with the gorilla.
Yes.
The monkey.
We get a little bit of his backstory where it starts with him as a kid, and he was involved in thieves, and he sort of helps out again because he owes stuff to the people who helped him, and like even though he's a cop, he's still like he's gonna put his humanity first. So and like because he like the handcuffs are they're so warm, like he's not capturing him, he's just like seeing him off basically. As he passes away. So it was nice. The one after that had some fun stuff. It was the time arc, the time shenanigans arc.
Yeah, there were definitely some good jokes with this one. A lot of character deaths, surprisingly. I didn't think Sorachi had it in him, but man, he really just was ruthless. Well, I think my favorite was where they were doing the thing with like the robot arm, and Katsura and Elizabeth are playing catch. And then they like switch out their arms, and like there's just completely just like destroys Elizabeth. Like, and I guess it's also probably the callback to the joke with the Makanko Sapo. Which is a Dragon Ball reference. How like it, it kills the two characters, and so like they're playing catch, and then Elizabeth is just it destroys. It goes through all these walls, just completely like. Takes a chunk out of Elizabeth's stomach, and it's like, oh no, you just killed Elizabeth. No.
Well, even the way it starts, where it's like because like it's a manga, so the panels, or not the panels, the speech bubbles are also stuck in time, and so like Gintoki thinks, hey, stop saying that, but it's like, no, she's not, because I was reading it like for the first couple times, like and it was the same. But it's like, no, it's not. She's not saying it. Her words are just like frozen in time, which is funny because like this was pointed out in Understanding Comics, where it's like, because even though a manga panel like looks like a still image, there's still time represented in it, because if there's like text or even like a flash of a light bulb or a camera, right? Because it's like that's a very quick moment in time, but it's still a moment in time, right? So it's like, so it doesn't really make sense that a whole sentence is frozen in the same moment of time, but it's meta and it's funny, so it's fun. It works. And but
and I do like how in the last panel of this arc, Otose is saying that phrase again, because like Gintama
time
will
is
do
a
that.
circle.
Well, yeah, I guess in that sense it also works in that way as far as time goes. But, Gintama will do that, where an arc starts off with a joke or starts off with something, and then it gets re-referenced at the end.
Yeah, and like you mentioned it already, but like the jokes where they like he'd just kill off characters, and it's like, ah, shit, we need to go forward, or like when they're trying to save Hasakawa's life because like he got hit by a car, or what that was, he got hit by a car, and it's like, no wait, he was in the cardboard box, right? Like,
oh, and then he just died normally, and it's like, what does that mean?
Or because the first time it happened especially caught me off guard, because they're like, okay, we need to get Gongai to not pee picking his nose, the old man, and it's just like, oh fuck, he died because he's old. Well, because it reminded me, you might have heard about this, maybe not. because it's video games, and I don't know how much you hear about video games, but in Metal Gear Solid 3, apparently there's a boss called, he's like a really old guy who you fight in like a sniper duel, except if you like stop playing the game for like a week and come back, he will be dead. Because the save file like reads the time that you spend like the date of the game basically. So like you can skip the boss fight by just like waiting because he's old. So I just remembered that now, and it's like I don't know, it's a little dark, but it's also I guess it's silly. So but yeah, this one had some good gags. So
I guess I did also like how like there's the and again, like working with time, like there is the week break in between chapters, and so like when we leave off, it's like, oh, one dies, the other lives, we have to find a way to save everyone, and then it comes back and it has the Dragon Ball reference as a joke, and they're like, man, no matter what we do, we just keep ending up in this scenario, and it's like, wait, hold on, how far did you go off on the timeline that you ended up in Dragon Ball? Like what? So that was kind of funny. And
yeah, I mentioned that I made it half as a joke earlier, where it's like time is a circle, and the way it kind of like ends with like the sound effect just solves everything. Like that kind of goes back, like because it opens with like Otose's dialogue being frozen in time, and so it ends with like a sound effect that was frozen in time, like just solving everything. Like he just fixes the thing, and okay, sure, go ahead, like.
And you also get the joke of like, oh, Ty's marrying a sound effect. Yeah, I did also like how the kanji or the whatever. Because is it hiragana? I don't know which one. I don't know the difference.
I think it's a katakana.
Katakana,
yeah.
Maybe. Well, anyway, I like how like with it being like restructured and rewritten, it just becomes a person. That's also kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun arc. Anyway, after that, there's the Shinpachi. Like, I guess I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, they just like are still bribing homeless people with macadamia nuts to like practice sword play in a dojo. And like there's just a bunch of gags about finishing moves and stuff. And they do like Street Fighter references where like I like the one where Kyubey and Shinpachi fight, and like he accidentally like brushes his knuckle against her knee, and then he's just gotta get the next panel is just he's got the shit beaten out of him like a Street Fighter win-lose screen.
Yeah.
And then she's just like blushing, and it's like, don't touch me. Yeah, there was some yeah, it was fine. Anyway, after that is Hasagawa there, he's trying to help him get a job.
And you get all these jokes with the photo booth.
Mm-hmm.
I do like how, it's another one where, like, Katsura has a joke about, like, I'm going to infiltrate the Shinsengumi, and I need this ID photo. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's a funny little inclusion to the chapter. And then the next chapter is him infiltrating the Shinsengumi.
And then it becomes, like, a little arc with, like, a genuine thing, and it's, like just spawned from this one, like, Katsura gag, like, haha, he sure is doing that, and it's like, yeah, bitch, I am. What of it? And it's like, oh, fuck, he's doing it. But, of course, this chapter ends with, like, Hasagawa, he, like, takes Gintoki's advice and sends his resume to the Yorozuya, and, here, I got some toilet paper for Sadaharu. Which is what happens to most resumes, little known fact, most unused resumes are used as toilet paper exclusively for Sadaharu. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, the next one is Katsura infiltrating the Shinsengumi, and oh no, I was like, wait, didn't this happen before? And I'm like, no, I'm remembering when the Shogun ended up in Katsura's rebel group, because like there you had Katsura's leadership being challenged by the natural charisma of the Shogun. Shigeshige, and now, but here you have Katsura connecting to honestly, since Katsura was this guy into a big Afro disguise, for a second I thought this Saito.
You thought it was Gintoki. Because he's got like the perm look, and he's got the same sort of like
dead fish eyes.
Word? Yeah.
I was like, okay, why is Gintoki in the Shinsengumi? But which was weird because it's like he's on the same page, and sure enough, soon enough, I did realize like, no, that's not Gintoki. But at first, I did think that, and it sounds like you at least had that cross your mind at some point, or you
well,
knew
yeah,
where
because like
going.
I was waiting for the joke to be like, oh, Katsura's infiltrating the Shinsengumi, but he's not actually infiltrating the Shinsengumi because they were onto him the whole time, and they had Gintoki watching him. But no, this actually just was a new character.
He's just right, and then. Because because I guess going back to like, yeah, if Katsura, and Sachan removed their distinguishing features, like they look similar. Well, here, if a character has Gintoki's distinguishing feure, and Gintoki's worn disguises before, he's been a centaur, he's been like, right, like I just thought like, yeah, that's Gintoki in disguise. It's like, no, he's a new character. He's just really shy. And he just can't talk to people. He wants to be friends, and his friend list was assumed to be like a traitor list, and they were executing people on it. Like it's like, no, he just wants to be friends, and he's bad at it. And of course, like I guess like I realized like, oh, that's the joke I wanted to make, where it's like, man, Hidoro was so good, Sorachi made a sequel. Because he's got the same like intimidating aura, but is actually a wholesome guy. Like especially when he's like, oh, if you're nervous, just smile, and he like takes off his mask and gives this like his eyes are bloodshot, and he's just like, and then he gets like hit on the head, and he's doing the same thing, but he sticks out his tongue like playfully, but also he's bleeding, and it just looks like, yeah, it was good gags.
So what you're saying is, Sorachi shouldn't have introduced a new character here. This should have been Hidoro.
That would have been something else. Like, hey, maybe he'd get more screen time if he was part of Shinsengumi. I'm just saying. Also, there's a joke I'm looking at right now that's kind of like, well, have you seen it? It's an image from like taken from like a subway, I think, or a train, and there's like a guy in a Pikachu costume, and their hand is sticking out of the Pikachu's mouth, grabbed onto a pole. Have you seen that image? Or no, it's like
I don't think so.
I think it's a real photo. Okay, I was reminded of it because Catherine was captured by Shinsengumi, and
Catherine
or not, Elizabeth.
Who's Catherine?
A different character. Well, she's actually a character in the manga, but my brain stopped. And she wasn't actually here. She was in the gender swap arc, but she hasn't been actually in the manga majorly in a while. But Elizabeth, she was captured. And like Katsura like gets punched by a giant bulky fist coming out of Elizabeth's mouth. She's like, ah. But yeah, they help Saito, and he opens up a little bit more. And
I do like the joke where like he's in confinement, and Gintoki goes to him and is like, "Hey, I know you trust Katsura, but you need to speak up and he's like trying to convince him. He's like, wow, he really trusts Katsura that much, and he's just asleep. And then on the next page, Gintoki's like, I'll be looking forward to the execution tomorrow.
And yeah, so he still has a kind of connection with Katsura, but they duel and separate. But like he even says like, it's my job to cut Z, and but he falls asleep. So or the bomb goes off. But yeah, it was cool. Oh, that's right. Sorry, I saw the next one. I'll let you catch up to the end of the arc, but see if you have anything more to say. But the next one, I remember.
No.
Okay. So after that was Love Potion, which had some gags that I liked, but here you get Tsukio's little bit of stuff for her. Like, well, I like the gag where she like gets heart eyes, so she rips off the heart eyes. And I was like, oh god, that's funny.
Yeah, that was good.
And yeah, she's like somehow finding ways to fall in love with Gintoki's shittiness, but like because she's under the effects of the love potion.
I just noticed now, but like I'm looking at her character design, and like the thing that she's using to tie her hair back, are those kunai? That's a good character detail if they are. I don't know what it is, but it looks
in
like
the front of her hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are meant to look like kunai. You're right. I hadn't paid attention to it before. Were those always there? Now I'm like losing my... I guess so. I'm losing my mind. Because I never really paid attention before. I guess. Do I ever? But yeah, anyway, it turns out there was a whole scheme by the first girl they rescued that, she was the one spreading the drug. And like she, loves someone from outside of Yoshiwara, but like since they're part of the Red Light District, they can't have a continual relationship. So, she spread the love drug as a kind of like, I don't know. Maybe I don't remember this one as well as I thought.
I mean, I'm looking through here, and there are little jokes that are kind of funny, like, she's trying to tell them the plan, but it keeps turning into, like, hearts, or, like, oh, it's an umbrella you're walking under. And then she's like, no, we need to stay separated so I can get over the effects of this potion. I guess I'll just go with him, and she's just sitting in the cart, and it's like, what are you doing?
Or, like, later when, like, Kyubei's eye patch turns into a heart, or, what they did with Shinpachi and Kagura, because, like, going by the familial thing, they're kind of, like, brother and sister, so but then it's like she only likes Shinpachi's glasses, and he only likes him with his glasses as seen in the reflection of Kagura's eyes, and so it's like it's a way for them to like quote unquote fall in love with each other without actually like falling in love with each other, which is that like because it was funny.
And then there was the reaction with Skuyo where she just does like the face palm, and I'm like, ah, yes, me when I'm reading Gintama constantly.
And then Otai realizes that she was in fact the stalker the whole time for Kondo, and she starts beating the shit out of him. Okay. But yeah, eventually the lady who was starting stuff that she just they help her leave Yoshiwara so that she can be with the one she did love. Where things kind of go to normal, but Tsukio's also like, she has approached those feelings at least. So, like it ends with her smiles. So she's not, confessing to him or anything, but, she seems more aware of it at least. So. Yeah.
And the message was like, oh, you don't need a potion, to fall in love, or, well, that was part of it, but there was more, and I'm trying to think of how else I was going to say that. Shoot. There was more I wanted to say about that, and I just completely blanked.
Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, that's right. We're coming up on a really good Tama chapter. I forgot. Almost forgot. But it's not quite the next one. So if you're done with Love Potion, we can move on to...
Okay, what I was trying to say, or what I was going to add on to with that was that... Like, I thought that there was some dialogue from Skuyo where she was like, like did the potion really have an effect, or was that just kind of, how was that just genuine feelings? Because at the end, she has like a cute little moment with Gintoki where, she's like, once in a while it's nice to just be next to each other, and she's like blowing the smoke in his face, and she's got the smile, and it's like, ah,
yeah, no, it's good. Well, because what I didn't think about, because like were those genuine feelings? Because what I should have maybe thought back to was like if it was like, did the love potion create love where it wasn't, or did it amplify what was already there? Because if that's the case, then like there's some weird jokes. Then I guess like Kagura really likes has likes the idea of Shinpachi having cooler glasses. I guess I don't know, but some of that's also potentially I didn't think about that, so I should have. Oh well. I didn't have any more to say. I just brought it up. Anyway, after that, they help the I just think of her as Bunizakura sword lady, blacksmith lady. Like, I don't remember her fucking name. But they just help her with like she's filled requests from both like a hero and Dragon Quest references. A Dark Lord, and Gintoki just breaks the swords. And then there's like they have their minions who also like get the swords and like become, or they are the swords. It's a chapter.
This is, and again, like I don't want to condemn the series for doing this, because sometimes this I guess gets a little into the debate of like, if a series is going to reference something, should it make any effort to make that so like in this case it's a Dragon Quest reference, so like should it in any way be obligated to like make that digestible for someone who's never played Dragon Quest? And so I would say no, that like people who've
played it,
people who are familiar with Dragon Quest would get the jokes here and they'd appreciate it more. But so like as someone who has no experience with that, none of the jokes really like I don't get it. I don't find it funny.
No, because
I'm not going to say that like, oh, so Gintama shouldn't reference it, or Gintama should completely restructure it, I also wouldn't say that. It's just like,
Yeah, it
I
didn't
go
land
into
for
this
you,
chapter
right.
and like I understand that I won't understand it, and I kind of just leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll see, and it's funny because you say, oh, for people who haven't played Dragon Quest. Well, Dragon Quest is the biggest game franchise in Japan, right? So, like, it's more...
Well, yeah,
it's
that's
big-
also why I figure,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
to the audience, it is appealing towards, as a
Exactly.
Japanese manga running in Weekly Shonen Jump.
Right.
People would get the references.
Yeah, like it's wild to step back and think, yeah, Dragon Quest is bigger than Pokemon in Japan, right? So, because I've even thought, like, I should probably actually play some Dragon Quest games, because it's like, if I'm gonna consume this much fucking Japanese media and it's this important in Japan, maybe I should have a perspective on it, right? So I don't know, it's just something I've thought about. And while you were talking about, like, yeah, the Dragon Quest references, I just remembered that. So yeah, but no, I get where you're coming from, because I haven't played a Dragon Quest game since I was a kid. So, and yeah, well, I'm watching the Dragon Quest anime, which is helping a little, I guess. But I don't know. I also, it was a chapter. Like, I didn't think much of it. So. Also, maybe this happened to you, but in my download, it was in both the zip for volume 56 and 55, so I had the chapter twice. I don't know.
Wait, the Tama chapter?
No,
or
the Dragon Quest chapter. I
thought I only saw it once.
No, I had a different download then, I guess. I just thought it was funny because I'm like, okay, a Dragon Quest chapter. And I was like, oh no, I have to read it again. And no, I just skipped it because I already read it. But I just thought it was funny. So anyway, after that was a Tama chapter, which I liked.
Yeah, it was good.
she connected to the vending machine, and she, because they're both machines just doing their jobs, but she's like connecting to another one, and like it connected to her, and it like it kept barfing out cigarettes. And it's like, no, you can't do that. Don't give me too many, or else I won't be able to come back that much. But then it's like, oh no, it's old, and it's not working as well anymore. And,
and they also draw that connection with the shop owner too. So there's,
yes.
like, I'm sure there's meant to be like a connection there as far as just like, the elderly in general, and like, oh, don't treat this thing like a piece of junk or whatever, or
right, like don't just throw it away. It has value, but and because she's like carrying it around trying to get help, and like like during the rain, she wants to be there with it, and but it's gone, and she can't be there anymore. And especially like, well, because like, I guess because I actually heard, I remember, I don't remember if I read the article or not, but it's still interesting. Just remembering back to it, it was like a year or two ago, about how like elderly. So in Japan, there's a trend of like elderly people like committing crimes and going to jail so that they could have a place to be with other people, basically, because like they're so lonely in their lives that they would rather like be in prison because there's other people there, like, and it's possibly other elders, right? Where they can't get, so like it, going back to like, yeah, if if an old person is abandoned, right? Then they don't have anyone, and like, because Gintoki even says like, you cleared up that thing's reign long ago. Like Tama was able to like be there for the vending machine and its like last, basically. So she was able to avoid, she cleared up its reign, and I got a little teary eyed. Like I didn't get destroyed like that one Kagura radio calisthenics chapter, but it was strongest emotional reaction I had this stretch of chapters. Now I think about it, so yeah.
Yeah, it was a good chapter.
And Tama is very good. So it was nice. Oh yeah, that's right. And I guess the last part of this reading was Shinpachi gets glasses that's able to see everyone's like spirit that is supporting them in secret. That's kind of like one of them is even like a Pikachu, so it's kind of like a Pokemon reference. And it's like, what the fuck is this? Did I have anything specific to say? Because also, what the fuck? Like, oh, I did like the joke where it's like, it's not Corolla, it's Katsura. And because I like the Katsura joke. And I think when it ended, I just said, okay. Because it was an arc, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep. So I guess that was Gintama. All right, next time is chapter 502 to chapter 551. So it's actually, 502 to 551. I said that correctly, right? Yeah. So it's a shorter reading. It's only like 50 chapters instead of 65 chapters or 70 chapters. Whew. So yeah, we're in the last stretch. We're getting there. We're going places, and we should I will also be checking soon all the ongoing series and see, like, mostly, I guess, Boruto's the only one I think which will reasonably finish. Yeah, Tokashi's just going to drop, like, 10 volumes of Succession War all at once, and it's just going to be done, and we can finally read the next... No. Right, so that Boruto's the only one I feel like will reasonably be translated by the time... Or translated. Released by the time we finish Gintama, so I will check. But, but there's a deadline, so it depends. And I'll... And then after that, if we don't, whether, after Boruto or after we, or after Gintama, whichever, one we do, we are doing the 80s block soon. So we'll be, we will be having a poll for you to decide which of our picks we'll be reading first. So we're getting there, getting to new stuff. Yeah. Hopefully, like, I don't know. I don't think anything we want. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe it'll be long.
Suddenly, Gintama will become 10 out of 10, and it'll be like, oh, we were wrong all along.
Well, I still like. It's funny how earlier you said, like, man, it would be funny if, because everyone says Gintama gets better. It would be funny if I read Gintama and thought it got worse. And oops, that happened. Anyway, thank you for listening. And we will see you next time on time. No delay. This hopefully it's less chapters, and it's gonna be an arc, or 2 arcs rather. So it should just be like instead of like the punctuated episodic stuff, it'll be more like a normal Nen Show.
There'll actually
hopefully
be some momentum to the reading.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. But anyway, so
not just a lot of like start stop start stop start stop.
So yeah. Anyway, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.